Hi, hello, how are ya? It's time to talk about sexism in marriage! Marriage is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as the legally or formally recognized union of a man and a woman. Now, I don't want to be petty and point out the fact that man comes first in this definition, but I guess it's already out there. Now, before a marriage can even take place, you first have to go through at least a short period of engagement, and tradition dictates that in order for a woman and a man to become engaged, a man should ask the permission of the bride's father. Now, taken at face value, this can seem like a sweet gesture on the groom's part. However, why does a woman need the permission of her father to marry someone that she loves and wants to be with? Oh, I know! Pick me! It's because, unfortunately, we live in a patriarchal society that has always seen women as the property of men, and in this case, before marriage, a woman's father. Okay, now fast forward to the ceremony where all your groomsmen are lined up on one side, all the bridesmaids on the other, and there's the groom at the end of the aisle waiting for his bride. How sweet. Now here she comes walking down the aisle, the beautiful, blushing bride in her gorgeous, traditionally white gown. Who's that accompanying her and walking her down the aisle? It's her father! Oh! But why is it her father walking her down the aisle? Why isn't her mother? Or why isn't she walking, I don't know, independently by herself? It's because of the next sexist tradition involved in marriage that I will be bringing to your attention. The father giving away his blushing bride. Giving her away? Where's she going? Well, let's look at it in simple terms. What happens when you give away a box of clothes to Goodwill? You physically take that box of clothes, which up until that point has been your property, and you give it away to Goodwill to become somebody else's property. That's exactly what happens when a father gives away her bride to her new husband. It's the father's way of saying, here is my daughter. She is now your property and your problem to deal with. Good luck! Okay, so my explanation may seem a little harsh, but I'm just breaking it down and putting it in simple terms for everybody to see it as it is, a barefaced, sexist way of treating women. This exchange of property from the father to the husband is also exemplified in another sexist tradition involved in marriage, the woman changing her last name. In most cases, but not all, this is how it goes. So John and Jane Smith give birth to this beautiful little baby girl and name her Sally Smith. So little Sally Smith grows up as Sally Smith and goes on to meet Bob Jones. Bob and Sally meet and they get to know each other. They go on some dates and however long passes and they get engaged and they get married. So what happens next? After Sally Smith is walked down the aisle and given away to Bob Jones by her father, she then takes Bob's last name and becomes Sally Jones. So not only does tradition dictate that she change her name, but it dictates that she change her name to her husband's last name. Okay, so Bob Jones and his newly named bride, Sally Jones, go on with their marriage and eventually get pregnant and have a set of twins. Let's say they've got their baby girl Emily and baby boy James. Well, since Sally already took Bob's last name, it would only be common sense that both Emily and James get the same last name and are Emily Jones and James Jones. So fast forward, many, many years. Emily meets the love of her life, and James meets the love of his life, and the two get married, separately. But what happens next is that Emily, according to tradition, then changes her last name to fit her new husband's, while James gets to keep his last name, and his new wife is forced to take his last name. And the cycle continues. Sally's dad, John, walked her down the aisle to give her away to Bob Jones. She then takes the Jones name and becomes part of that family and is transferred from Smith family to Jones family. So now the Jones family has their kids, and their kids go off and get married, but Bob Jones doesn't go to James's wedding to give away James. No, he goes to Emily's wedding to give her away to her new husband, while James's new wife is given away by her dad. So in every scenario, the woman is traditionally seen as the father's property until the point where she gets married and he, the father, gives that daughter away to the new husband, who then becomes a part of a whole new family and assumes this whole new identity with a whole new last name and all. So to summarize, from birth, children in general are seen as the property of their parents, but daughters, when they decide to get married, are seen as the property of their father and therefore need to be given away to her new owner, her new husband, where the cycle repeats itself and their daughter goes on to take the last name of her new husband and their kids go on to do the same thing. And it's just this perpetual cycle that continues to promote our patriarchal society, which, since patriarchal means dominated by men, is sexist towards women. Still not convinced? Don't worry, there's more. Stay tuned for the next video where I will continue to talk about sexism in our society.